Yes. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, I won't be as long as the previous speaker. Mr. Speaker, as stated earlier, I'm grateful for this low walks of life that have pulled me aside and gave me proper guidance and the proper tools to use to deliver the job. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to start off my address speaking about a great lady. A lady, Vida Smith Nee Virgil, also known to many as Aunt Vida, mother of Greg, Mike, and Crystal, a woman who spent her entire life in hospitality, a woman who spent her entire life fighting for workers' rights, a woman whose name, when you actually rearrange the letters, is Diva, and anyone who knew her can attest she was not just a diva in her dress and etiquette, but more importantly in how she had human relations. Mr. Speaker, we celebrated her life on Monday. I was blessed to be given a country pass to come west, come cross the bridge, and I was more blessed to stand in the podium in St. James and speak to the life of this diva. Mr. Speaker, in life there are people who are your blood relatives and there are people who adopt you. As we say in our vernacular, black people's cousin. This was everyone's black people's auntie. If she was in your blood auntie, she still took you under her wing. And that speaks to who she was, but more important, that speaks to who we are as Bermudians. We have a lot of negativity going on in our culture right now that's somewhat alien to us. But I say to the people, if anyone needs Aunt Vida, always be able to take somebody in just to give them a word, give them some love, even if it's tough love. As she used to say to me, Mr. Speaker, Christopher, what's wrong with your people? What's wrong with our people? I said, I don't know, Auntie. And then she gave me some tough love. Mr. Speaker, this is a lady who, to her dying breath, supported this party, the Progressive Labour Party. Mr. Speaker, I'm proudly sitting right now at Alaska Hole inside of a room that I've sat in for the last 10 years, more than 10 years. This is the Ministry of Canvassing, Mr. Speaker, which is a very important ministry because we have to touch base with everyone in Bermuda. It's the same office that every leader of the PLP has sat in for the last 60 years. Where even when we were not government, we sat down and we thought of policies to help the people of this country. Some of these policies weren't readily understood, weren't readily appreciated. Some didn't actually even make it to fruition. But nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, for 60 years, this party has been here, warts and all, serving the people of Bermuda. My only regret, Mr. Speaker, is that these walls can't talk. Because if they could talk, I would want to hear what the founders and everyone who served this great party would have to say in guiding us. We've been government, as of Monday, we've been government for as of Monday the 18th, we've been government for 5 years. We've made hiccups here and there, but our intentions have always remained the same, the betterment of the people of Bermuda. So to those who always have something negative to say, there's nothing we can say to change your mind, just like the education minister said. But but the results is what it is. We have a way to go. We still need to understand that we can't just be passing legislation. We have to talk amongst ourselves and to our people about leadership. Even leadership is about doing and saying things that are not necessarily popular all the time, but it needs to be said. We have to be philosophical amongst ourselves. Don't be afraid to have disagreements, because that's what strengthens us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me move on, because I know there are plenty of other speakers and people are tired. Mr. Speaker, last week on July the 7th, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, claimed he would resign after he saw all his compatriots jumping ship. He's still the Prime Minister. I know somebody could resign but still be Prime Minister, but nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, a day before that, there was a Lord Michael Cashman. It's in the newspaper, so I'm not making up tales. He put forward a private member bill that will that if passed, will force the overseas territories to do something that the people of the overseas territories are against. Now, some may say that this is just an isolated incident, this is just an individual. No, Mr. Speaker, you and I know better than that. Things don't happen in a vacuum. Mr. Speaker, let's speak to the big issue. There are over 200,000 persons in the overseas territories of Anguilla, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands, Montserrat, and Turks and Caicos Island. Not one of those persons, not one of the elected officials can sit down and say, hey, let's go make legislation to tell the people of England what to do. Not one. Yet here we have what's stuck in a system that someone in England has the audacity to think that you can legislate for us. You haven't even talked to us, but you feel you have the audacity to talk to us. And I really hope you Royal Gazette print this. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, the UK Parliament Foreign Affairs Committee had a report called Resetting the Relationship, Global Britain. Recommendation 9 in that report, Mr. Speaker, the UK government should initiate consultation with the elected governments of the OTs and work with them to agree to a plan to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that there is a pathway for all resident UK and British overseas territory citizens to be able to vote and, Mr. Speaker, hold elected office in territories. What does that mean? It means somebody on work permit in the Cayman Islands from England could vote and run for office in Cayman Islands. It means a British lawyer in the Virgin Islands has as much voting rights as indigenous Virgin Islands. It means, Mr. Speaker, quite simply, any British person on work permit in Bermuda can vote and run for parliament in this country. That is a proposal from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Again, some may say, hey, that's just an isolated incident. Nothing can come out of that. Guess what, Mr. Speaker? One of the persons behind that report is now running to become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Tom Tugendhat. He is one of 5 remaining candidates. Tom Tugendhat was the chair of the very same Foreign Affairs Committee that wrote that report. So, Mr. Speaker, on the eve of our emancipation celebration and on the eve of our 5 years in office, let us never forget, prime ministers come, prime ministers go. no matter which party is in power in the United Kingdom, their mandate towards the overseas territories is not about partnership, it's about colonialism. Let us never forget that colonialism lives. So I go back to Aunt Vida. What would Aunt Vida say? She would say, Christopher, you have to stay to the wicket. Her son got up and gave a very, very good presentation that she told one of her bosses that the people, the workers in her job need union representation. And the boss said, no, we no union around here. He says, well, no union, there's no VITA. And if no VITA, no one else is going to be here. So be like our VITA. And Mr. Speaker, I wish you all the best when you come back down the East next year to see our cup. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, MP. Is there any other